The poor widow fell asleep on a cowboy's shoulder. What he did next changed it all. The wind on Kestrel, 9 never stopped. It howled across the dry land, carrying dust, broken metal, and the quiet stories of people who had already lost too much. The planet had once been a hopeful place. Humans had come here with dreams, farms, homes, a future among the stars. But the Galactic Union had left them behind. Now, Kestrel, 9 was nothing more than a forgotten frontier, where people survived day by day, hoping not to be noticed by the alien raiders who came whenever they pleased. Mara Van stood alone at the edge of a landing platform, her clothes worn and covered in dust. Her hands trembled slightly, though she tried to hide it. She had not eaten properly in 2 days. Her husband was gone. Her home was gone. And now, all she had was a small bag and a one-way ride on an old cargo transport. The ship looked tired, just like everyone waiting to board it. Rust covered its sides. One engine made a strange clicking sound. It was not built for comfort. It was built to move people who had nowhere else to go. Mara stepped forward when her turn came. No one spoke to her. No one smiled. On Kestrel 9, kindness had become rare. Inside the ship, the air was warm and heavy. Rows of metal seats filled the narrow space. People sat quietly, holding their belongings close. Some looked angry. Others looked empty. Mara searched for a place to sit. Most seats were already taken. A few people avoided eye contact, pretending not to see her. She walked slowly down the aisle until she noticed one empty spot. A man sat beside it. He wore a long, dark coat, dusty at the edges. A wide-brimmed hat rested low over his face, hiding his eyes. His boots were old but strong. Everything about him felt still, calm in a place that had no calm. He looked like someone from another time, a cowboy from old Earth stories. Mara hesitated. Something about him made her unsure. Not fear exactly, but caution. Still, she had no other choice. "Is this seat taken?" she asked softly. The man lifted his head slightly. For a moment, she saw his eyes. They were sharp, but not unkind. "No," he said. His voice was low and steady. She nodded and sat down quickly, keeping her distance. For a while, neither of them spoke. The ship began to move, shaking as it lifted off the ground. The engines roared, and the metal walls vibrated. Outside, the endless dust of Kestrel, 9 slowly disappeared beneath them. Mara held her bag tightly. She tried to stay awake. She told herself she had to stay alert. This was not a safe world, not a safe ship, not a safe journey. But her body was too tired. Her eyes slowly closed. At first, she leaned slightly to the side. Then, as the ship shook again, her head gently fell against a man's shoulder. She froze for a second, half awake. But the man did not move. He did not push her away. He simply stayed still. And for the first time in a long time, Mara felt something she had forgotten: safety. Within moments, she fell into a deep sleep. Around them, a few passengers noticed. A thin man across the aisle leaned closer to another passenger and whispered, "That's him." "Who?" the other asked quietly. "The drifter, Elias Rook." The name moved softly between a few people, like a quiet warning. "Stay away from him," someone else muttered. "He's trouble." But Rook did nothing. He sat still, letting the woman rest against him. His eyes remained half hidden under his hat, watching the room without moving his head. He noticed everything: the nervous passengers, the broken security panel near the door, the way the ship's crew avoided looking at certain controls. And then something else. A signal. His eyes shifted slightly. The ship slowed down. That was not normal. A low sound echoed through the cabin, not from the engine, but from outside. The passengers began to murmur. "What's happening? Why are we stopping?" Mara did not wake. Rook gently adjusted his shoulder, just enough so her head stayed comfortable. Then he looked toward the front of the ship. The main door opened with a loud hiss. Cold air rushed inside, and with it, they came. Tall figures stepped into the cabin, their armor shining under the dim lights. Their skin had a faint blue color, their eyes glowing slightly. Each one carried a weapon that looked far too advanced for a simple transport ship. Alien enforcers. Silence fell instantly. No one moved. Everyone knew what this meant. Inspection, one of the enforcers said. His voice was sharp and cold. All passengers remained still. No one argued. They never did. The enforcers walked slowly through the aisle, looking at each person like they were objects, not people. One of them scanned faces with a device. Another checked bags. Resource tax collection will begin, the leader announced. A woman near the back started crying quietly. A man beside her whispered, "Don't resist," because resisting meant death, or worse. Mara shifted slightly in her sleep, unaware of what was happening. Rook did not wake her. His eyes followed every movement of the enforcers. They were careless, too confident. One of them stopped near Mara. He looked down at her, then at Rook. "And what do we have here?" the enforcer said with a small, cruel smile. Rook said nothing. The enforcer reached out, grabbing Mara's arm roughly. She woke instantly, gasping in fear. "Please," she started, her voice shaking. "Quiet," the enforcer snapped. "You will come with us." "No," she whispered, pulling back weakly. The other passengers looked away. No one helped. No one ever helped. The enforcer tightened his grip. And then Rook moved. It was slow at first. He gently lifted Mara's hand off his arm and guided her behind him. Then he stood up. The entire cabin seemed to hold its breath. He was taller than most expected. Calm, steady, unshaken. The enforcer looked at him, annoyed. "Sit down," he ordered. Rook didn't. Instead, he adjusted his coat slightly. "You should let her go," Rook said quietly. The words were simple, but something in his voice made the air feel heavier. The enforcer laughed. "And who are you supposed to be?" he asked. Rook tilted his head just a little. "Just someone who's tired," he replied. The enforcer's expression turned cold. "You will sit down," he repeated, raising his weapon slightly. Behind Rook, Mara clutched her bag, her heart racing. She didn't understand what was happening, but she knew this was wrong. This wasn't how things worked. People didn't stand up to them. People didn't survive if they did. The other passengers watched in silence. Fear filled the room. But Rook didn't look afraid. The enforcer stepped closer, his weapon now fully aimed. "Last warning," he said. Rook slowly lifted his head. For the first time, his eyes were clearly visible, sharp, focused, and completely unafraid. "No," Rook said. Just one word. Simple. Final. The enforcer's finger tightened on the trigger. And in that exact moment, Rook moved. Fast. Too fast. The cabin exploded into motion. And everything changed. The shot never came. Before the alien enforcer could pull the trigger, Elias Rook moved. To most people in the cabin, it looked like a blur. One moment he was standing still. The next, he was already inside the enforcer's guard. Rook grabbed the alien's wrist and twisted it sharply. The weapon slipped from the enforcer's hand and clattered to the floor. At the same time, Rook stepped forward and drove his shoulder into the alien's chest. The enforcer crashed backward into the metal seats. Gasps filled the cabin. No one had ever seen something like this. Not here. Not on Kestrel 9. The other enforcers reacted instantly. Their glowing eyes focused on Rook, weapons rising. "Hostile," one of them shouted. Rook didn't speak. He kicked the fallen weapon away, sending it sliding under his seat. Then he stepped slightly to the side, just enough to block Mara from view. "Stay behind me," he said quietly. Mara's hands trembled, but she obeyed. She pressed herself against the wall, her heart beating so fast it hurt. The nearest enforcer fired. A blast of bright energy shot across the cabin. Rook moved again. He ducked low, the blast passing just above his head and hitting the wall behind him. Sparks flew. People screamed and ducked. Rook grabbed the edge of the seat and flipped it forward. The heavy metal frame slammed into the legs of the second enforcer, knocking him off balance. Before the alien could recover, Rook stepped in and struck him once, fast and precise, right at the joint of his armor. The enforcer dropped, not dead, but unable to move. The third one hesitated. That was his mistake. Rook closed the distance in 2 steps. He didn't punch wildly. He didn't shout. Every movement was controlled, clean, and exact. He hit the alien's weapon arm, then his shoulder, then forced him down to the floor. Within seconds, 3 enforcers were down. The cabin fell into stunned silence. Only the sound of the ship's engine remained. Rook stood in the middle of the aisle, breathing slowly, like nothing had happened. The passengers stared at him, some in shock, some in fear, some in something new. Hope. Mara looked at him with wide eyes. "Why you?" She tried to speak, but no words came out. Rook bent down and picked up one of the alien weapons. He looked at it for a second, then powered it off. "We're not done yet," he said calmly. As if answering him, a loud alarm suddenly rang through the ship. Red lights flashed across the ceiling. The captain's voice came through the speakers, shaking with fear. Reinforcements incoming. Multiple ships were being locked. Panic spread instantly. People stood up, shouting, "We're dead! They'll kill us all!" We shouldn't have resisted. Mara felt her chest tighten. Her legs felt weak again. This was it. This was how it ended. But then, "Sit down." Rook's voice cut through the noise. Not loud, but strong, clear. People froze. Something about the way he spoke made them listen. "We're not dead yet," he said. A man near the front shook his head. "You don't understand. They'll send a whole squad. Maybe more." Rook looked at him. "I do understand," he replied. Then he turned toward the front of the ship and started walking. Everyone watched him. "W, where are you going?" Mara asked, her voice small. "To fix this," Rook said. He reached the control panel near the door and opened it. Wires and old circuits filled the inside. The system was outdated, patched together many times. Rook studied it quickly. Then he began working. His hands moved fast, but carefully. He pulled out a few wires, reconnected others, and adjusted the system settings. "What is he doing?" someone whispered. I think he's locking the ship," another replied. And they were right. With a final movement, Rook sealed the main doors. "No more boarding," he said. "But they'll blow us apart," a woman cried. Rook shook his head slightly. "Not if we give them something else to think about." He turned toward the captain's communication panel. Without asking permission, he activated it. The screen flickered, then lit up. Outside, large shapes began to appear, dark ships surrounding them. Alien patrol vessels. Fast, armed, deadly. The captain stepped forward nervously. "You can't." Rook raised a hand. "Trust me," he said. For a second, the captain hesitated. Then he stepped back. Rook pressed a button. The signal went out, across all nearby channels, across every frequency still working on this forgotten world. Rook spoke. "This is Elias Rook." His voice was calm, clear, steady. Inside the cabin, people looked at each other. Outside, the alien ship slowed slightly. "This transport is under human protection," Rook continued. "You will leave. Now!" Silence followed. Then laughter. Cold, mocking. An alien face appeared on the screen. Tall, sharp features. Eyes glowing brighter than the others. "You still speak as if you have power," the alien commander said. "Humans do not protect anything anymore." Rook didn't react. "You're wrong," he said simply. The commander smiled. "You are one man," he replied, "and you have already made a mistake." More ships moved into position around them, weapons charged. "You will surrender," the commander said, "or we will remove you, and everyone on board." Mara felt her fear rising again. She looked at Rook. He didn't look worried. He didn't look angry. He just looked certain. "Last chance," the commander said. Rook leaned slightly closer to the screen. "No," he replied, just like before. One word. Simple. Final. The commander's smile disappeared. "Then you will be made an example," he said coldly. The screen went dark. Outside, the alien ships began to move into attack formation. Inside the cabin, panic returned. "They're going to fire. We can't fight them. This is suicide." Mara stepped closer to Rook. "Why? Why are you doing this?" she asked, her voice shaking. Rook looked at her for a moment. Then he said something quiet. "Because you slept." She blinked, confused. "I don't understand," she said. Rook looked around the cabin, at the scared faces, at the broken people. At some point, he said, people stopped feeling safe. He paused. But you didn't. Mara's eyes widened slightly. You trusted enough to rest, he continued. That matters. Before she could respond, the ship shook. A warning flashed on the screen. Target lock detected. The alien fleet was ready to fire. Rook turned back to the control panel. His hand hovered over a button. He didn't press it yet. Instead, he looked at the passengers. All of them. Listen, he said. His voice wasn't loud, but everyone heard it. They think we're weak, he said. They think we forgot how to stand. He paused. Did we? No one answered. Fear held them still. Rook nodded slightly. That's fine, he said. Then I'll remind them. He pressed a button. The ship's engines roared louder. Power shifted, not to escape, but to fight. And outside, the first alien ship opened fire. The battle had begun. The first blast hit hard. The entire ship shook like it would break apart. Sparks burst from the ceiling. Lights flickered. Some passengers screamed and fell to the floor. Mara grabbed onto a metal bar to stay steady. Her heart felt like it would jump out her chest. We're going to die, someone shouted. But Rook didn't move back. He stood at the control panel, watching the screen carefully. Not today, he said. Another blast came, but this time the ship moved. At the last second, Rook shifted the controls. The cargo transport rolled slightly to the side. The alien shot missed, passing just inches away. Gasps filled the cabin. He dodged it, a man whispered. That's not possible. But it was. Rook's hands moved fast across the controls. He wasn't guessing. He knew exactly what he was doing. Outside, 3 alien ships circled them like hunters. Fast, precise, dangerous. Inside, this old cargo ship should have had no chance. But Rook wasn't flying it like a cargo ship. He was flying it like a weapon. Hold on, he said. He pushed the engines harder. The ship surged forward suddenly, throwing everyone back into their seats. Mara almost lost her grip. Are you crazy? The captain yelled. This ship can't handle that speed. Rook didn't answer. Instead, he turned the ship sharply toward one of the alien vessels. They're going to shoot us, someone screamed. But Rook kept going. Closer, closer. The alien ship fired. At the last moment, Rook cut the engines. The cargo ship dropped suddenly. The blast flew over them. Before the alien pilot could react, Rook pushed power back in. The ship jumped forward, straight under the enemy vessel. Then, boom! The cargo ship slammed into the underside of the alien ship. Not a full crash. Just enough. The impact broke the alien ship's balance. Its shields flickered. Now! Rook said quietly. He pressed another control. The cargo ship released its load. Heavy metal containers flew out and smashed into the damaged alien ship. Explosions followed. The first alien vessel was destroyed. Silence filled the cabin for 1 second. Then, cheers. Real cheers. For the first time, people were not just afraid. They were fighting. Mara stared at Rook. Who are you? She asked softly. Rook didn't look at her. Someone who learned the hard way, he said. The remaining alien ships pulled back slightly, surprised. They had not expected resistance. They had never needed to expect it. Inside the cabin, something changed. The fear was still there, but now it was mixed with something else. Belief. Another wave of attacks began. This time, faster, smarter. The alien ships adjusted. They surrounded the cargo transport from multiple sides. They're learning, the captain said nervously. Rook nodded. So will we. He turned to the passengers. You, he said, pointing to a group of miners. Strong hands. They nodded. Yes. Good. Secure anything loose. We're going to use it. He looked at another group. You ever handle tools? A woman stepped forward. I used to repair engines. Then you're with me. People began moving. At first, slowly, then faster. Rook gave simple, clear instructions. Tie this down. Move that there. Open this panel. Close that door. They didn't fully understand the plan, but they trusted him. Mara watched the strangers, tired, broken people, started working together. Something was waking up inside them, something human. Another blast hit. The ship shook again. But this time no one screamed. They held on. They kept working. Rook moved through the cabin, checking everything. He wasn't just fighting. He was leading. Mara stepped closer to him. "You've done this before," she said. It wasn't a question. Rook paused for a second. Then he nodded slightly. "A long time ago," he said. "What were you?" she asked. Rook was quiet. Then he spoke. "A soldier." The word fell heavy. Mara looked at him differently now. "You don't sound proud," she said. Rook shook his head. "I'm not." Another explosion lit up the screen. The last two alien ships were preparing a final strike. "They're charging something big," the captain warned. "If that hits us, we're done." Rook looked at the screen, then at the people, then at Mara. For a moment, everything slowed. "I left," he said quietly. Mara frowned. "Left what?" "The fight," Rook said. "When things got bad, I walked away." His voice was calm, but there was something deeper under it. Regret. "I thought it didn't matter anymore," he continued. "That humanity was finished." Mara held her breath. "And now?" she asked. Rook looked at her, then at the others. People who were no longer just sitting. People who were standing, working, fighting. "Now I think I was wrong," he said. The ship shook again. The alien ships were ready. Energy built around them. Bright, dangerous, final. Inside the cabin, everything was set. The loose cargo was secured. The panels were open. The systems were barely holding together. Rook returned to the control panel. "This is going to be rough," he said. The captain looked at him. "What are you planning?" Rook gave a small, almost invisible smile. "Something human," he replied. The captain didn't like the sound of that. Outside, the alien ships fired. Two massive beams of energy shot toward the cargo transport. Mara closed her eyes. But Rook moved. He pushed the engines beyond their limits. The ship surged forward, not away from the attack, but toward it. "Are you insane?" the captain shouted. "Maybe, but it worked." At the last second, the beams missed again. And this time, the cargo ship flew straight between the two alien vessels. Rook activated the system. Inside the ship, the secured cargo released at once. Chains snapped. Heavy containers launched outward in all directions. The alien ships tried to avoid them. Too late. The containers hit hard. One ship lost control. The other took damage to its weapons. Rook didn't stop. He turned the ship again. Fast, sharp, impossible for something this old. The passengers held on, shouting, laughing, surviving. Mara felt something new inside her. Not fear. Not anymore. Strength. The last alien ship tried to escape. It was damaged, but still dangerous. Rook locked onto it. "Should we let it go?" the captain asked. Rook shook his head. "No," he said. He pushed the ship forward one last time. The cargo ship rammed into the alien vessel's side. Hard. Both ships spun. For a moment, it felt like everything would break. Then, explosion. The alien ship was gone. Only silence remained. Inside the cabin, no one spoke at first. They just breathed, slowly, alive. Then someone laughed. Then another. Then more. It wasn't just relief. It was something bigger. They had fought, and they had won. Mara looked at Rook. "You didn't run this time," she said. Rook looked out at the stars. "No," he said. And then a signal appeared on the screen. Not alien. Human. Weak. But real. Then another. And another. Ships. Small ones. Old ones. Coming closer. Answering something. Mara looked at Rook. "What is that?" she asked. Rook's eyes narrowed slightly. For the first time, he looked surprised. "I think," he said slowly, "someone heard us." Outside, more human ships began to arrive. And this time, they were not running. They were coming to fight. The AT first. The signals were weak. Small lights appeared on the screen. One, then two, then many. Old ships. Broken ships. Mining vessels. Transport crafts. Repair shuttles. None of them looked strong. None of them looked ready for war. But they were coming. Mara stared at the screen, her breath slow but steady. "They came," she whispered. Around her, the other passengers moved closer, watching in silence. More signals appeared. More ships. All human. All answering. Rook stood still, his eyes fixed on the screen. For a moment, he said nothing. Then he let out a slow breath. "They're not hiding anymore," he said. The captain shook his head in disbelief. "They can't fight that fleet," he said. "They'll be destroyed." Rook didn't look away. "Maybe," he said. Then he added quietly, "But they came anyway." Outside, the last alien patrol ships regrouped. They had lost 3 vessels. That had never happened before, not to humans. More alien ships arrived, larger this time, heavier, stronger. The alien commander returned on the screen. His face was no longer calm. "You have made a mistake," he said coldly. "You have awakened something that should have stayed quiet." Rook tilted his head slightly. "Yeah," he said. "We do that sometimes." The commander's eyes narrowed. "You think this changes anything?" he asked. "You are still weak. You are still scattered." Rook looked at the incoming human ships. Old engines, scratched hulls, no perfect formation, no clean lines, just people. "Maybe," Rook said, "but we're not alone." The commander gave a sharp signal. The alien fleet moved forward. Weapons charged again. This time, there would be no warning. Inside the cargo ship, tension returned. But it felt different now. No one was crying. No one was hiding. They were ready. Rook turned to passengers. "This isn't going to be clean," he said. No one expected it to be. A minor step forward. "What do we do?" he asked. Rook looked around the room. Then he gave simple orders. "Stay together. Watch each other. Use what you have." He paused. "And don't wait for permission." The passengers nodded. They understood. This wasn't about one man anymore. This was about all of them. The battle began. Alien ships fired first. Bright beams cut across space. One of the smaller human ships exploded instantly. Mara flinched, but the others didn't run. Instead, they moved forward, not in perfect lines, not in clean strategy, but in chaos, human chaos. One ship flew too close and crashed into an alien vessel, damaging both. Another dropped its cargo, scrap metal, tools, anything heavy, straight into enemy shields. A repair ship used its tools as weapons, cutting into alien armor at close range. It wasn't organized. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. The alien fleet hesitated. They didn't understand this kind of fighting. They expected fear. They expected retreat. Instead, they got something else. Unpredictable, relentless, human. Inside the cargo ship, Rook moved quickly. "Now," he said. He pushed the engines again. The ship surged forward into the fight. Mara grabbed onto a rail. She wasn't just watching anymore. She moved to help others. A man fell. She pulled him up. A panel sparked. She helped shut it down. Her fear was still there, but it didn't control her. Not anymore. Rook noticed. For a second, he glanced at her, then nodded. The alien commander watched from his ship. "This is disorder," he said. "They fight without structure." One of his officers responded. "And yet they are effective." The commander's expression darkened. "Then we remove them all." He gave the order. The largest alien ship moved forward, its weapon charged, far stronger than the others. A final strike. One shot could destroy multiple ships at once. Inside the cargo ship, alarm screamed. "That weapon," the captain said, his voice tight. "If it fires—" Rook already knew. He looked at the screen, then at the human ships. Too many, too close. They wouldn't escape in time. Mara stepped beside him. "What do we do?" she asked. Rook didn't answer right away. He watched the charging weapon. Bright, deadly, certain. Then he spoke. "We stop it." The captain shook his head. "That's impossible." Rook looked at him. "Maybe," he said. Then he turned back to the controls. "Hold on." The cargo ship moved. Not away. Straight toward the largest alien vessel. "Are you serious?" the captain shouted. Rook didn't respond. The ship shook as smaller blasts hit them. Systems flickered. But Rook kept going. Closer, closer. The alien ship's weapon charged faster. Almost ready. Mara held her breath. This was it. Everyone, Rook said loudly. The passengers looked at him. This is the part where we don't quit, he said. Simple words. But they hit hard. People straightened. Hands tightened. Eyes focused. They were ready. The cargo ship reached the alien vessel. Too close for long-range weapons. Too close for safety. Perfect. Rook pushed the controls one last time. The engine screamed. The ship surged forward and crashed into the alien weapon system. The impact was massive. Metal twisted. Lights exploded. The alien weapon fired, but not straight. The beam shot sideways, missing the human ships and hitting empty space. The weapon overloaded. Energy built, then exploded. The largest alien ship broke apart. Silence for 1 second. Then chaos. The remaining alien ships pulled back, confused, damaged, shaken. They had lost control. They had lost advantage. And for the first time, they chose to retreat. One by one, they jumped away. Gone. The battle was over. The stars were quiet again. Inside the cargo ship, no one moved at first. Then a laugh. Then another. Then cheers. Real ones. Loud. Strong. Alive. Mara leaned against the wall, breathing hard. She looked at Rook. He was still standing. Still calm. But his coat was torn. His hat slightly broken. He looked human. Not untouchable. Just human. The other ships began to gather. Small lights surrounded them. Friendly. Hopeful. Alive. A voice came through the radio. We heard the signal. Someone said. Another voice followed. And we came. More voices. More people. Not alone anymore. Mara stepped closer to Rook. Is it over? She asked. Rook looked out at the ships. At the people. At what they had become. For now, he said. She smiled slightly. Then she said something quiet. Thank you. Rook shook his head. No, he said. You all stood. He looked at her. You reminded me. Mara frowned. Of what? Rook gave a small smile. What we do best, he said. Later, as things settled, people began to organize. Ships formed groups. Plans started. A new beginning. Mara helped where she could. She wasn't the same person anymore. She stood straighter, spoke stronger, lived. Rook stood near the exit of the ship, his hat back on, his coat fixed as best as possible. He was ready to leave. Like always, Mara saw him. You're going? She asked. Rook nodded. Still work to do, he said. She stepped closer. You don't have to go alone, she said. Rook paused. Then he looked at the ships again, at the people, at the future. You won't be alone, he said. Then he looked at her. And neither will I. He stepped onto his small transport, engines ready. Before he left, he looked back one last time, at Mara, at the others, at humanity, no longer quiet, no longer hiding. He tipped his hat, not to victory, but to them. As his ship flew into the stars, signals followed, human signals, strong, loud, alive again. And this time, they weren't asking for help. They were answering. Another dropped its cargo, scrap metal, tools, anything heavy, straight into enemy shields. A repair ship used its tools as weapons, cutting into alien armor at close range. It wasn't organized. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. The alien fleet hesitated. They didn't understand this kind of fighting. They expected fear. They expected retreat. Instead, they got something else. Unpredictable, relentless, human. Inside the cargo ship, Rook moved quickly. Now, he said. He pushed the engines again. The ship surged forward into the fight. Mara grabbed onto a rail. She wasn't just watching anymore. She moved to help others. A man fell. She pulled him up. A panel sparked. She helped shut it down. Her fear was still there, but it didn't control her. Not anymore. Rook noticed. For a second, he glanced at her, then nodded. The alien commander watched from his ship. This is disorder, he said. "They fight without structure," one of his officers responded. "And yet they are effective." The commander's expression darkened. "Then we remove them all." He gave the order. The largest alien ship moved forward, its weapon charged, far stronger than the others. A final strike. One shot could destroy multiple ships at once. Inside the cargo ship, alarm screamed. "That weapon," the captain said, his voice tight. "If it fires—" Rook already knew. He looked at the screen, then at the human ships. Too many, too close. They wouldn't escape in time. Mara stepped beside him. "What do we do?" she asked. Rook didn't answer right away. He watched the charging weapon. Bright, deadly, certain. Then he spoke. "We stop it." The captain shook his head. "That's impossible." Rook looked at him. "Maybe," he said. Then he turned back to the controls. "Hold on." The cargo ship moved. Not away. Straight toward the largest alien vessel. "Are you serious?" the captain shouted. Rook didn't respond. The ship shook as smaller blasts hit them. Systems flickered. But Rook kept going. Closer. Closer. The alien ship's weapon charged faster. Almost ready. Mara held her breath. This was it. "Everyone," Rook said loudly. The passengers looked at him. "This is the part where we don't quit," he said. Simple words. But they hit hard. People straightened. Hands tightened. Eyes focused. They were ready. The cargo ship reached the alien vessel. Too close for long-range weapons. Too close for safety. Perfect. Rook pushed the controls one last time. The engine screamed. The ship surged forward and crashed into the alien weapon system. The impact was massive. Metal twisted. Lights exploded. The alien weapon fired, but not straight. The beam shot sideways, missing the human ships and hitting empty space. The weapon overloaded. Energy built, then exploded. The largest alien ship broke apart. Silence for 1 second. Then chaos. The remaining alien ships pulled back, confused, damaged, shaken. They had lost control. They had lost advantage. And for the first time, they chose to retreat. One by one, they jumped away. Gone. The battle was over. The stars were quiet again. Inside the cargo ship, no one moved at first. Then a laugh. Then another. Then cheers. Real ones. Loud. Strong. Alive. Mara leaned against the wall, breathing hard. She looked at Rook. He was still standing. Still calm. But his coat was torn. His hat slightly broken. He looked human. Not untouchable. Just human. The other ships began to gather. Small lights surrounded them. Friendly. Hopeful. Alive. A voice came through the radio. "We heard the signal," someone said. Another voice followed. "And we came." More voices. More people. Not alone anymore. Mara stepped closer to Rook. "Is it over?" she asked. Rook looked out at the ships. At the people. At what they had become. "For now," he said. She smiled slightly. Then she said something quiet. "Thank you." Rook shook his head. "No," he said. "You all stood." He looked at her. "You reminded me." Mara frowned. "Of what?" Rook gave a small smile. "What we do best," he said. Later, as things settled, people began to organize. Ships formed groups. Plans started. A new beginning. Mara helped where she could. She wasn't the same person anymore. She stood straighter, spoke stronger, lived. Rook stood near the exit of the ship, his hat back on, his coat fixed as best as possible. He was ready to leave. Like always, Mara saw him. "You're going?" she asked. Rook nodded. "Still work to do," he said. She stepped closer. "You don't have to go alone," she said. Rook paused. Then he looked at the ships again, at the people, at the future. "You won't be alone," he said. Then he looked at her. "And neither will I." He stepped onto his small transport, engines ready. Before he left, he looked back one last time, at Mara, at the others, at humanity, no longer quiet, no longer hiding. He tipped his hat, not to victory, but to them. As his ship flew into the stars, signals followed. Human signals. Strong, loud, alive again, and this time they weren't asking for help. They were answering,